Hello, all my dear friends. Let us study the vapor absorption system. What is this vapor absorption system? Vapor absorption system is nothing but a heat operated refrigeration system, right? Assume a heat engine. Suppose this is a heat engine. We know that heat engine receives the heat at some from some higher temperature reservoir at some rate Q1 kilowatt kilojoule per second from a high temperature reservoir which is having a higher temperature T1. So assume that this is a heat engine E which is receiving heat energy at the rate Q1 kilojoule per second from a high temperature reservoir which is at a higher temperature T1. Now this heat energy is converted into mechanical work by the heat engine. But according to the second law of thermodynamics, Kelvin Planck statement, all the heat energy which is supplied to the engine cannot be converted into mechanical work. Some heat has to be lost to the environment, and the heat which is lost to the environment, that is nothing but at the rate Qk. Q2 quantity of heat is rejected to the environment, Q1 is absorbed by the engine, and out of that W is converted into mechanical work and Q2 is rejected. And this heat is rejected to the low temperature reservoir which is at a lower temperature, say T2. Now this low temperature reservoir is nothing but the atmosphere, the environment. So this is the heat engine, we know, right? Now what is a refrigerating machine? Suppose R is the refrigerating machine. So this refrigerating machine is a device which will absorb the heat at some rate Q0 kilojoule per second from a space or substance which is maintained at a lower temperature T0, and the heat will be supplied to a high temperature reservoir, say Tk, high temperature reservoir at a temperature higher temperature Tk, higher as compared to T0, right? Now this high temperature reservoir is nothing but the atmosphere or the environment, right? So this engine is also rejecting heat to the atmosphere or environment. This refrigerating machine is also rejecting heat to the atmosphere or environment. Okay. So in case of heat engine, we assume that the temperature of the environment is T2. In case of refrigerating machine, we assume that the temperature of the environment is Tk. That may be same, right? But again, according to the second law of thermodynamics, Clausius statement, this flow of heat from the lower temperature to the higher temperature by the refrigerating machine is not possible unless we supply some external work W to the refrigerating machine, right? So with the help of the external work supplied, external energy supplied, the from with the help of this external work only, it is possible for the refrigerating machine to make the heat flow from low temperature to high temperature. Otherwise, heat naturally flows from high temperature to low temperature. Now look at this overall situation, this heat engine, this refrigerating machine. So this heat engine is providing some mechanical work and the refrigerating machine requires the mechanical work. Now, if you look at this picture, some idea comes in your mind, and definitely you can think that whatever work, mechanical work is obtained from the heat engine, can we supply the same mechanical work to the refrigerating machine? Yes, we can definitely supply the same mechanical work which is obtained from the heat engine to the refrigerating machine, right? So this is nothing but this, now this becomes a single device. These two devices are combined. This heat engine and the refrigerating machine is combined. So this combination is nothing but the vapor absorption refrigeration system. So vapor absorption refrigeration system is nothing but the combination of heat engine and refrigerating machine. Combination of heat engine and refrigerating machine, that is nothing but vapor absorption system, or it is also called as the heat operated refrigerating machine. So this device, combined device, can be called as the heat operated refrigerating machine, because the energy which we are supplying to this total device, this combined device, is only the heat energy, that is Q1, right? We are not supplying this work W. This work W is coming from the system itself, and that is utilized by the system itself. But what we are supplying is the heat Q1, and what we obtain is the refrigerating capacity Q0. So this Q0 is the desired output from the refrigerating machine, and this Q1 heat is the input to the refrigerating machine to this vapor absorption system, right? Now this work W we are not supplying. It is generated within the system, or within this the combination of the heat engine and refrigerating machine, and it is utilized within the system. It is not going out. Okay, so we call it as a heat operated refrigerating machine. So this is a very wonderful concept, creative concept of the vapor absorption refrigeration system. Now something more about the vapor absorption system. The compressor is not used in the vapor absorption system. It is replaced by absorber, generator, pump, and pressure reducing valve. So these four devices replace the compressor in the vapor absorption system. The compressor which is used in the vapor compression system. In vapor absorption system, we are not using the compressor. In place of compressor, we are using four devices: absorber, generator, pump, and pressure reducing valve. Two working substances are used in vapor absorption system. One is called as the refrigerant, other is called as absorbent or adsorbent. In vapor compression system, we are using only one working substance, that is called as the refrigerant. But in vapor absorption system, we are using two working substances. One is called as the refrigerant, other is called as the absorbent, or sometimes it is adsorbent in case of colloidal solution. No moving parts are present in the vapor absorption system, therefore there is no friction, no wear and tear. So the maintenance is less, the life of the parts is more, the operation is quiet, and the maintenance cost is less, right? Less maintenance, so less maintenance cost, and there is no noise created by the system because there are no moving parts. Low grade energy is used. Heat is supposed to be the low grade energy, and mechanical work is supposed to be the high grade energy. So in this system, low grade energy is required only. We don't require the high grade energy, right? So that is the advantage of the vapor absorption system. The part load efficiency of the vapor absorption system is good. That means if the load is reduced, say if the load is reduced by 50%, then the efficiency may be something like 40% or 30%. It will not go to directly 10%. Efficiency will not be reduced. Of course, the system is designed for a particular load, right? And if the load changes, then the efficiency of the system comes down. Okay. But in case of vapor absorption system, the efficiency will be reduced if the load is reduced, but it will not be reduced so much, right? It will be reduced. The reduction is less as compared to other systems like vapor compression system. There are less chances of leakage. Chances of leakage are less in case of vapor absorption system. Then the exhaust of engine or turbine can be used. We can use the energy. We can use the low grade energy. Okay, and also we can use that energy which otherwise get wasted. For example, the exhaust of the engine or the exhaust of the turbine may contain some heating energy. It always contains some heat energy. So that can also be used to operate the vapor absorption system. That is an advantage. Now charging, the disadvantage is that charging of this vapor absorption system is difficult and the coefficient of performance is much less than vapor compression refrigeration system. The coefficient of performance, the COP of vapor compression system is much high as compared to the vapor absorption system. Now let us study this schematic diagram of the vapor absorption system, the various components which are being used and how these various components work. That we are going to study. First of all, what are the various components used in the vapor absorption system? Let us study the basic vapor absorption system. So first of all, this is the absorber. The absorber is used in place of compressor. The compressor is replaced by absorber, pump, generator, and pressure reducing valve. Absorber, pump, generator, and pressure reducing valve. This is the absorber, this is the pump, this is the generator, and this is the pressure reducing valve. So out of them, one is the absorber, another is the generator. Okay, absorber, generator. Then some more devices are used, that is the condenser is used. Then this is the evaporator. So these are the various devices used in the basic vapor absorption system, right? So now let us study the working of this particular basic vapor absorption system. First of all, once again we will see the components: absorber, the pump, the generator, pressure reducing valve. Then actually this part is the thermal compressor. Okay, these four components form the thermal compressor, right? Now similar to the vapor compression system, we are having a condenser, right? The refrigerant vapor, which is ammonia, it goes to the condenser. In the condenser it is cooled, right? Then it gets condensed into liquid. Then liquid ammonia will expand in the expansion valve. Then it goes to the evaporator. In the evaporator it will evaporate by absorbing the heat from the surrounding, and thus we can obtain the refrigerating effect. And then this ammonia vapor will enter inside the absorber. Actually it is entering in the thermal compressor, right? So this part we know, but here these four components, how they work: absorber, pump, generator, and this particular pressure reducing valve, how they work and how they replace the compressor, that we have to see, right? Now come to this absorber. In the absorber, the ammonia vapors are entering. Ammonia vapors are entering, and this weak solution is also entering in this particular absorber. Now what is weak solution? Weak solution is that solution which contains less ammonia, or you can say it is water, water which contains less ammonia vapor. So that is a weak solution, right? And we know that this water is having a huge affinity for ammonia. Water will absorb ammonia vapors in large quantity very fast, right? So this weak solution, or say water, is entering in the absorber, and it will absorb the ammonia vapors as soon as they enter inside the absorber from the evaporator. After absorption of the ammonia vapors, this solution is called as the strong solution. This becomes a strong solution, right? Now this process of absorption is an exothermic reaction, and therefore heat is liberated. Heat is liberated. But if you want to increase the speed of this exothermic reaction, what we can do is that we can cool this particular absorber. Okay, that means we are increasing the heat absorption rate from this absorber. So if this heat is removed, if the solution is able to reject the heat at a faster rate, then this absorption process will be accelerated, right? Because it is exothermic process. Okay, so cooling is done in the absorber. The whatever refrigerant ammonia vapor is entering and the weak solution is entering in the absorber, they are cooled externally. Okay, and therefore this absorption process is accelerated, and due to that very quickly, very easily we get the strong solution. The strong solution is nothing but a lot of ammonia vapors, large quantity of ammonia vapors are absorbed by water or the weak solution, and it gets converted into strong solution. Now the strong solution is pumped by this pump in the generator. It is pumped by the pump in the generator, right? Now we have discussed that there are no moving parts in this vapor absorption system. But here, except this pump, we have to consider this pump. Except this pump, all there are no moving parts. But some moving part in this pump. In the pump only there are some moving parts, right? So this pump will pump the strong solution from the absorber to the generator. Now in the generator, we are supplying the heat energy. Heat energy is supplied in the generator, right? So due to supply of the heat energy, what is happening is that this strong solution will boil. The distillation process will take place, right? And during the distillation process, what will happen is that since the boiling point of ammonia is less, it will boil earlier. It will boil earlier, and it will leave the generator. Okay. Now the condition, actual condition is that when we are selecting the refrigerant and absorbent pair, when we are selecting the two working substances for the vapor absorption system, it is necessary that the difference in boiling point should be 200 degrees centigrade. Now if you actually see that the difference in boiling points between ammonia and water is not exactly 200 degrees centigrade, it is slightly less, right? Because the boiling point of water, normal boiling point of water is 100 degrees centigrade, and normal boiling point of ammonia is something like minus 78.8 degree centigrade. So the difference is slightly less than 200 degrees centigrade, and therefore some water may also uh, pass to in the condenser along with ammonia vapor. So for that we are having the analyzer and rectifier between the condenser and the generator, that we are not studying in this basic absorption vapor absorption system, but that is a further advanced part. Okay, but for time being you just remember that a distillation process occurs in the generator. So what is distillation process? Distillation is the process of separation of two substances which are in the liquid form, and their separation is on the basis of the difference in the boiling point. The substance which is having low boiling point will boil earlier, and it will get converted into vapor, and this vapor will leave that particular vessel, and in this way this separation takes place, separation of the two substance takes place. The other substance will remain in the liquid phase, and it will remain in the vessel. In this case the vessel is generator, and thus separation takes place. So this separation is taking place in the generator, and for that we are absorbing the heat, and the ammonia vapor which are generated due to this separation, they will enter inside the compressor, inside the condenser, right? Now when ammonia vapor have left this particular generator, what remains is water, or you can say some ammonia vapor may still remain. So that is a weak solution, that becomes a weak solution because the quantity, the percentage of ammonia vapors is less after evaporation of the ammonia vapors, and separation of the ammonia vapors from water. Okay, and therefore what remains in the generator is the weak solution. This weak solution will come back to the absorber through the pressure reducing valve. Its pressure is reduced and it comes back to the absorber, and again when it comes to the absorber, it will absorb the ammonia vapor which are coming from the evaporator, right? Now here what is happening is that the ammonia vapor is entering the condenser. In the condenser, the ammonia vapors are cooled and condensed, right, into liquid. Okay, some cooling medium may be used. The heat is rejected by the ammonia vapors in the condenser, and this heat is carried by the cooling medium, and therefore the not only temperature is reduced of the ammonia vapor, but the ammonia vapor gets condensed into liquid due to heat removal, and this liquid ammonia will now pass through the expansion valve. Okay, it will get expanded and that will now enter inside the evaporator. Okay, in the evaporator, the liquid ammonia will absorb the heat from the surrounding and thus get evaporated into vapor. Okay, and when the liquid ammonia is absorbing the heat from the surrounding, we get the refrigerating effect, and then the ammonia vapor, after getting evaporated into vapor, they will enter inside the absorber, and the same process is repeated. So this was the basic vapor absorption system. Thank you, my dear friends.